People engaged, it's time for Dueling Decades. The Matrix and Blade versus Bloodsport and Renegade. Strap on that cap, bust out the power glove. Come fight for what you love.
Dueling Decades.
Poop culture, popping pins, dropping hand grenades. Van Halen locked in Mortal Kombat with David Gray. Spandau Ballet and Sick, Iron Maiden, GNR. Come fight for what you love.
Dueling Decades.
Broadcasting from the Bio Bidet Studios, where water does it better. Greetings, Retro Warriors, and welcome to another episode of Dueling Decades right here on Poop Culture, the retro game show where we totally gag you with a spoon and give you the 411 at the same time as we make the 80s and 90s fight it out over these two dope decades. Let's take a look at the teams and the decades they will be fighting for. First off, representing January of 1992. They lost last week, so they got to change their name.
Good evening. I'm Bo Beecraft, and playing alongside me tonight is Mike Ranger of the Video Rangers podcast. We are simply known this week as Whole Foods without the W.
Interesting.
And along with myself, representing January of 1982.
That's right. I'm Rick Mancrush, and we are the Mama Lukes. January 1982.
As always, here on Dueling Decades, we need someone to keep us all in check. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. It's the Honorable Judge John Cross.
Yes, everyone, please rise. Be erect, because although it is as cold as a witch's tit, I'm going to be judging all of you like a mad hot bastard. I'm Judge John Cross. Go Leafs!
All right, the rules of our game are quite simple. A coin flip will decide which team goes first. The winning team will decide the topic of each round out of the 5 Dueling Decades categories, those being movies, television, music, news, and of course, hot products. The first 3 rounds are worth 1 point each, with rounds 4 and 5 worth 2 points apiece. The judge's ruling will be final and determine who wins each round, and the winning team will have the highest overall score after all 5 rounds. Gentlemen, let's play some Dueling Decades.
Coin toss.
All right. So today's coin, for the purpose of tossing it about and seeing who goes first, is this lobster-shaped dog toy. I don't know why, but it seemed like something I wanted to wave around on screen. Yes, this lobster-shaped dog toy. So, do you want to have belly or do you want to have goggly eyes?
Man, I ask myself that same thing all the time.
Whole Foods, pick one.
Belly?
Belly. All right, let's see if you're going to go belly up or if you're going to go belly up.
Belly crystal.
See what I mean? Let's see. Oh, here we go. It's exciting. It's belly up. You've won the toss.
They won the toss-off again.
Is it salad?
All right, 90s team, where do you guys want to start off this week?
I'll defer to Mike. I started off last time.
You want to go with news?
I like that. I like that just fine.
You want to go first? Here's a question. What year are we doing?
Oh, Jesus.
Wow. Okay.
I had down 91.
Yes.
January
there's-
91. Okay.
Yes, it's 91.
Okay, Mark,
started the intro, you said 92.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realized that.
I just had a minor meltdown, man.
He'll dub it in post.
I'm fucking freaking out. Like, holy shit. All right, I'm going to go with news, I guess.
You sound so confident.
On January 17th, 1991, Operation Desert Storm began with a massive airstrike targeted at Iraq's military forces and infrastructure. The conflict initially started after Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, accusing Kuwait of overproducing oil, costing Iraq an estimated $14 billion. The goal of Operation Desert Storm was to force the withdrawal of Iraqi forces and restore Kuwait's government. The combat phase, led by Storm and Norman on the ground and President George Bush on television, lasted 43 days, ending in victory for the United States, and received unprecedented television coverage.
No shit.
Now, the history books may tell you that it started over some oil, but I know a guy who says Saddam was clearly upset after the Noid failed to bring his Domino's pizza in 30 minutes.
I knew there had to be more to it than that, man. Fucking Noid. Ruins everything. God
Did
damn.
we call that a conflict?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
I was just thinking it's a good job that they didn't name it Dessert Storm, and then we would have had to have just fought them off with like upside down cake or bunt or something.
Pudding.
Pudding.
pudding, you see.
Bill Cosby's at the
The
phone.
war
Online.
is brought to you by...
That's great, because on MLK Day, let's bring up Bill Cosby, the most of African American icons.
He's flinging pudding and has curry. Anyhow,
That's right.
Come over here and take a look at my snack pack. And then let me have a bite of yours.
so insensitive.
All right. And the other news story.
Serial killer Eileen Wuornos confesses to the murders of 6 men after being arrested for outstanding warrants on January 9th, 1991. A bulk of her stuff happened, as far as like the sentencing and arraignment and all that stuff happened in January 91. January 16th, she confessed to all 6 murders. Obviously, this spawned the movie Monster, starring Charlize Theron, which chronicled the story of her from childhood to pretty much her murderous years in the trial and all that stuff. That was released in 2003, earned her an Academy Award for Best Actress, but it all stemmed from the woman herself, eyebrowless Eileen Wuornos.
Man, did they make her hideous for that movie.
I've never seen a woman so attractive look so...
Oh,
I
God.
think that was kind of the point.
Yeah.
And
So
what's
was I
crazy,
the only one who thought she was hotter like that then?
look more attainable.
and what's
Yeah.
crazy
It's a
is,
fetish.
as bad as they made Charlize Theron look in that movie, she still looks better than the real life Arlene Wuornos, or whatever the hell her name was.
That was the name of my bus driver. I'm talking about Eileen Wuornos.
Oh, her. Oh, okay.
That's a huge news story. How could
Yeah,
you
just-
possibly get that name messed up?
And just to clarify, Whole Foods, the news story is this was the day that she was caught or admitted to doing it, or what was the...
No, this is just one of the days she blew the guy in the car.
Oh, okay.
No, she was arrested on January 9th, but I'm going with January 16th. She confessed to all 6 murders.
Confesses. All right, great.
Yeah.
That's a little more of a significant date. When she
Yeah, I make notes as a judge so that I know when we come
His
round.
final
to the end of-
sentencing.
Yeah, my final sentencing. Yeah, making notes. That's all. Figuring it out.
All right. Mark, do you want to start this one off?
Sure, Man Crush. I'll start that off. And we're going to go over to the Des Moines Register, who has an article who talks about Mr. Mark Neal. When he was 17 years old, him and his younger brother decided they needed a family pet. So his younger brother brings home a live bat. Well, that lasted about 2 weeks until the bat died. So, Mark Neal's friends all convinced him to take the bat carcass, put it inside of a baggie, and sneak it inside of his coat as they proceeded on the night of January 20th, 1982, to go see the Prince of Darkness himself, Mr. Ozzy Osbourne, in Des Moines, Iowa, with about 5,000 other fans. And, of course, at this point, everybody knows the story. Neal tosses the dead bat on the stage, where Ozzy picks up the bat and bites the head off, as he always did in his act, but with rubber bats or with props. Even once he even did with a live dove, but did not know that this was a bat that was once alive and was now deceased. Immediately being rushed to the hospital, Ozzy received medical attention and shots for rabies. Rolling Stone magazine ranked this in 2004 as the number 2 all-time rock's wildest miss. And Ozzy Osbourne himself in 2001 lamented that he will be plagued until his death with questions about this bat. How did it taste, Ozzy? Why did you do it, Ozzy? And then he says, and then they will dig me up again and ask me again. So that's
He should have been dug up at least 10 times by now.
It should have been.
It's
But,
miraculous that that man is still alive.
January 20th, 1982, one of the most infamous days in Ozzy Osbourne's great career.
Jesus. Maybe he's had it correct the whole time.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to do like copious amounts of drugs and bite the heads off of live animals, like bats.
And only be clear with your diction when you're singing, not speaking.
Yes,
Right.
that is amazing.
I thought you were going to say this was voted by Rolling Stone number 2 in the stupidest moments in rock and roll.
What was number 1? I'm curious.
The article doesn't say because
Probably
Oh, what the fuck?
Probably Ozzy urinating on the Alamo. That was pretty stupid.
Yeah, it's just really a top-
the basement.
My bike is in the basement.
Wanted some cheese and onion.
All right. So my story comes out of the way of Mount Lebanon, Pennsylvania, where all good things happen. So what began as a simple 9th grade prank to fool his friends turns into something much more important in the grand scheme of things. Around early January 1982, school student Richard Skrenta developed the elk cloner virus. And you are probably asking yourself, well, why are you even telling me this? Well, when it was found in late January 1982, it had the distinction of being the first home computer virus to be found in the wild. So this is the first virus ever. And if you really look at a definition of a virus, this one attached to the bootloader, which hadn't been done before. There was another virus prior to that in, I think, 71. But this is the first one that really spread. Went as far as, I believe it was Baltimore, Maryland, where it infected a computer belonging to Skrenta's cousin, who was in the U.S. Navy. So it actually spread pretty far. And what this thing would do is every 50th time you booted, and this was on an Apple II, where you had to boot off of a disk, you would just get this little screen that would pop up, and it had a poem, and that poem read, "Elk Cloner, the program with personality. It will get on all of your disks. It will infiltrate your chips. Yes, it's cloner. It will modify RAM too. Send in the cloner." And that popped up every 50th time you booted. And again, first time ever a virus is found in the wild, January 1982.
But did this Skrenta guy ever actually clone an elk?
He might have now.
It died of dysentery.
And then it was thrown on stages at an Aussie concert where he tried to bite the head off the elk.
This isn't a bad.
You want me to get the whole elk's head in my mouth?
That's a big ass thing to throw on a stage.
Challenge, he wants me to put an elk's head in my mouth.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Tastes like a stab, Sharon.
Get Jack in here and I'll ram it up his ass.
Anyhow, that's what I had there.
All right. Over to John Cross for the ruling.
Look at this. Look at this cacophony of interesting news stories. Just fascinating. Obviously, we have Desert Storm and serial killing confessing in 1991. That seems pretty huge to me, Desert Storm, which although we say, oh yeah, the Americans won it and da-da-da-da-da, it's still sort of going on now. Like it never really finished. They certainly never brought troops home in the traditional way. It would be like if there was still troops out in Vietnam somehow fighting the Viet Cong even now. That's kind of what the whole Desert Storm thing became. Eileen Wuornos, again, famous enough to spawn a movie in which, as you said quite rightly, a classic beauty became even more attractive by putting on a bad wig and giving a bit of the old Irish complexion, which I have to say turns me on every time. And then in 1982, we've got the iconic rock moment of biting the head off a bat. And this asshole, this massive prick, Richard Skrenta, developing a computer. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you want to be the person to ruin everybody's fun and computers from now on? Because once you've done it, everyone else starts doing it. They're like, well, if he wants to clone an elk, I'm going to clone all these other badgers and this whelk or something else that's lying around, or this scallop or something. Like everyone's going to just start cloning everything and ruining everyone's computers. But where do they stand nowadays in terms of monumental news stories? You you'd have to, you know, in terms of having legs, the Ozzy Osbourne story has legs and the Desert Storm story has legs. The computer virus thing kind of has legs as well, obviously, because there are still computer viruses, but I'm not sure that Richard Screnter is still well known. But I think I'm going to have to give it to 1991, Whole Foods wins, just for the fact that Desert Storm never really finished, is still going on, and has essentially affected all our lives since.
And we got Hot Shots Part 2.
That is true. So something good came out of it.